What parenting trend you disagree with? If it's from Korea, it's the trend of putting their kids through private education to the point where they have no life beyond school and education. If they manage to get into college, they have no idea what they are doing with their lives. Their parents have control every aspect of their lives since birth. So when they are an adult, they don't know how to make any life decisions on their own. Life goal, career goal, it's whatever their parents would want them to do. To Korean parents, kids are an extension of themselves. I'm sure other cultures can relate to this phenomenon. When I was a kid, if I got in trouble at school, there was no way my parents would doubt the teachers. I'd be in double trouble. They didn't do grounding, but they wouldn't speak to me, and I had my dinner, and I had to go straight to bed. Getting in trouble was scary, and the consequences were really scary. Nowadays, parents think their kids are angels. Oh, my son wouldn't do that. I'm going to talk to the head teacher because my daughter shouldn't be in trouble. Kids get away with everything nowadays. And look how many turn out to be horrible little SHES. Asking kids nursery a zillion times to stop doing something not allowed, disruptive things. I'm not in the military discipline. Kids should be seen and not heard camp by any means. But they need clear boundaries and timely consequences to learn acceptable behavior in society. Behaviors. But if they're just going to ask nursery over and over without communicating a consequence and following through if the unacceptable behavior continues, it's no wonder junior doesn't get it. Increasingly separating children's and adult spaces activities even in your family life because you're scared the children will misbehave or be bored. Everything becoming somehow more, not less gendered. All the boys and girls in my vicinity are either in blue, green, grey, or red, pink, purple color palettes. In a pink tutu and go ha ha gotcha when people think he's a girl. But I don't get why baby boy couldn't wear brightly colored outfits and needs to dress like a German mechanical engineering student. Plastering photos of your kids on social media. Before all the SMBS we took photos. They got developed and we put them in an album. You looked at the album whenever you wanted to, and generally the album was private. In fact, there was always that running joke about your mum showing your BFGF your baby photos from the photo albums, and you being extremely embarrassed and annoyed because the photos are private. Look at it now. It's vile. Here's my son in the bath and any weirdos could be saving your photos. It's so wrong and weird. Not parenting their kids, but instead sticking them in front of iPads to entertain themselves. Also feeling the need to document every moment of their lives on social media. No one needs to know, and honestly, no one really cares. A birthday maybe, but Tuesday afternoon baking cookies, so unnecessary. I also hate influencer parents exploiting their children for those YT, IG, and TT money. Child labor laws need to be amended to include this type of labor. Currently, it does not protect children from their parents in this context. Having kids and winging it, ails, emotional regulation tactics, and love you may not have received in your own childhood, and instead you just take whatever buttfuck stupid advice your mum got from her mum, etc. Like, do some research. The amount of parents willfully ignorant about safe sleep, car seat safety, and child development in a time where we have access to thousands of studies is just insane to me and feels very lazy. Helicopter parenting, or whatever you want to call it. As a child that was sheltered and despite my wishes, parents would always intervene, and I became way too reliant on that. Wasn't until my mid-20s that someone helped me realize what was going on, and I had to relearn how to live basically. Sure, my parents did what they thought was best. It ended up really screwing me later in life, and I'm still in the process of figuring out what it means to be independent and how to fight for myself. Confusing gentle parenting with permissive parenting. You can be both gentle and authoritative. Is not authoritarian. It is the role of a parent to provide structure and boundaries for their children while also allowing them to feel their emotions and deal with the ups and downs of being a kid. Go ahead and soothe your children when they are upset, and give them a safe space to calm down, that you do not have to cushion their world for them in order to avert a meltdown. Not exactly a trend, that having like 5 kids and forcing the older ones to basically raise the little ones at contraception. But it's still not the kids' problem. It's one thing to have them help once in a while. But anything that stops them from living their own lives to raise your kids is just ridiculous. For example, not being able to take an extracurricular activity because they have to be home watching their siblings. I can't stand putting kids in sports activities these days and pushing them to become athletes. It is one thing to expose your kid, they enjoy it, and you let them keep doing it. It is a completely different thing when you see kids in elementary school playing in every league their parent can enroll them in and doing training camps. If they are really good and you give them the tools, okay. But if your kid is mediocre at best, then you are setting them up for disappointment. No thank you really grinds my gears. Stuck his entire inside a trash can, and someone else followed their kid around sing-songing no thank you as he hunted down and popped balloons at a birthday party, making multiple other kids cry. Thank you for what? There are times when it needs to just be a hard no so the kid understands that what they're doing is serious, dangerous, harmful, etc. My wife and I have agreed on everything except for 2 things. She gave our 15-month-old a teeny bit of Tabasco sauce. I said she wasn't ready. She, in fact, wasn't ready. She also tried chocolate milk for the first time that night. My wife tries not to say no. She does. But tries to stop herself. Instead, she says baby's name, please stop or please don't do that. I think that's fine and all. I don't agree with cancelling the word no. I'm gonna go in a little bit of a different direction. Parents not watching their own behavior when it comes to screen time, frustration tolerance, discipline, etc. You've got to dig deep and figure out how to role model the behaviors you want your kids to do. If you are on your phone 24/7 and throw a fit every time the slightest thing inconveniences you, you aren't gonna have a good time with your kids doing anything different. If the child does not understand after several repetitions, then you can hit him. And when parents, instead of teaching why something cannot be done, beat the child, then he eventually loses confidence in them and begins to fear for his mistakes in front of them in the future. I feel like gentle parenting. Everyone who is in my life that gentle parents have monsters for 8-year-olds. To be fair, 8-year-olds are pretty wild as is. But their kids run right over them even more. It looks good on social media, and I'm sure those are the ones who actually are parenting genuinely. But I feel like it shouldn't be used too much, because most real-life everyday parents take that as do whatever you want, refusing to say no to their child or discipline them at all, while trying to support their emotions. One of my sisters does this and has one of the brattiest, whiniest kids that I've had to regularly endure interacting with. I get not overreacting with regards to discipline, but trying to rationally talk to a 4-year-old during a temper tantrum just doesn't work. In his eyes, punishments don't have consequences. Being born in the 50s, I'm against so many, as you might imagine. One from my time that I am really glad to see has disappeared is hitting your kids. I did my best to break that cycle with my son and can see most new parents do the same. The almost total removal of creativity in new parenting where devices replace parents is going to, and in fact has started to, ruin a lot of kids and young adults. I disagree with helicopter parenting, where parents excessively hover over their children, shielding them from discomfort and failure. This approach can hinder their independence and resilience. Children need the freedom to explore and learn from their mistakes to become confident individuals. Guidance and support are essential, but children also need space to grow on their own. I'm not sure if this counts, but parents who overschedule their kids or let them be into many activities at once. I used to schedule for a pediatrician and had to work around the kids' activity schedule just to get them in for an appointment. With all of those activities, the kid had no downtime at all. That can't possibly be good for them. I've seen a small yet growing trend of homeschool kids where the parents are completely neglectful of actual education and basically let a kid do whatever they want. They don't follow standardized curriculum for the sake of letting kids be kids. If your kid can barely read at 10 years old, you're setting them up to fail as an adult. Anything that doesn't prepare them for the real world, non-scored sports, never saying no, giving in to bad behavior because parenting is hard, etc. They need to learn about competition and how to deal with losing. They need to learn natural consequences that follow wrong choices. They need to learn to deal with hearing no. Parents not having even minimal standards for their children's behavior and expecting other people to be all right with it. I really don't care that he is having big feelings. He is lying in the aisle of the supermarket, screaming at the top of his lungs, having a full-blown tantrum because you said no. Grow a pair. Soft parenting just sounds like spineless and lazy parenting half the time. It's one thing being patient or refusing to beat your kid exactly how it should be. Nobody should hit their kid. And another thing letting the little brats do whatever they want without consequences. Many modern parents go for the latter. Acting like any form of sleep training is akin to child abuse. Like if your baby doesn't wake up every 45 minutes 1 hour all night every night for weeks on end. Cool. Good for you. I personally couldn't operate under those conditions, and everyone was so much happier when we got the kids sleeping for hours at a stretch.